The impeachment of Donald Trump has reached a major milestone. The House Judiciary Committee today passed both articles of impeachment against the U.S. president.
Without objection, the committee is adjourned.
The committee vote passed on strict party lines. The articles will now move to the full House for an impeachment vote. If it passes there, as it's expected to, with the Democratic majority, it then moves to the Senate for a trial. But Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has already made it clear there is no chance Trump will be removed from office. Let's bring in Aaron Blake. He is a senior political reporter at the Washington Post, and he joins us live from Washington. So, Aaron, tell us a little bit more about your observations of today's vote.
Well, obviously, it's a historic moment. This is the fourth time that we've had a formal vote on impeachment at some level. Of course, we had Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton, who were both impeached. Richard Nixon resigned after the House Judiciary Committee voted to impeach him in the 1970s. So a significant moment, definitely not all that surprising. Both of the votes were completely party line votes. The vote in the larger House is expected to be similar, with maybe a couple Democrats voting against. And then, of course, we move to the Senate where Republicans actually have a majority. They need 67 votes, so they need more than 20 Republicans to vote in favor of removing the president. It seems very unlikely that's ever going to happen. So really all this is about right now is getting information out, presenting it in a way that they think the American public is going to process it, and then see how that's going to play out in the 2020 election.
Right. So now this vote was supposed to happen yesterday, but a fair bit of drama involved there. It didn't happen. It seemed there was some strategic moves going on. Can you explain?
Yeah, so basically the hearing yesterday, we actually thought it might wrap up a little bit earlier, but there was lots of debate, there were lots of motions. Basically, it was getting dragged out in the middle of the night. And Democrats clearly wanted to have this vote happen at a time when people were watching. That's understandable. It's not terribly surprising. So basically, they cut it short last night and said, we're going to come back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We're going to vote on these articles right away. And they actually did it in a matter of less than 10 minutes this morning. It was very orderly, very efficient, and now it's been done.
Right. But now, I mean, you're saying here everyone expected this to happen. Everyone has an expectation of what will happen, even as it all will finally play out. What's the point of all of this, Aaron?
Well, I think Democrats are getting that question now because even they recognize that this is a process that was likely never going to lead to the president actually being removed from office. Things are just too partisan in Washington right now. Republicans have defended the president through many things, arguably that were worse than his conduct with regards to Ukraine. I think Democrats, though, eventually came around to impeachment because, one, they decided that it was the right thing to do. It was warranted based upon his actions. And they were worried that if they didn't try to check him, that he would do things to influence the election that were worse than what he's already done. The second was that they just had a lot of pressure from their base to do this. It had been building for some time. And once the Ukraine scandal really broke, I think it became untenable for people like House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to say that we can't do this anymore. So I think there is a recognition that to some degree they are going through the motions, but they also think this is a chance to get out some crucial information. And certainly we've seen that in the hearings that were conducted by the House Intelligence Committee a few weeks ago.
So then what do you think will be the effect on the president's campaign in 2020?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the campaign is a long ways away. We still are trying to figure out who the Democratic nominee is going to be. It's entirely possible that much of this will be forgotten by the time November 2020 rolls around. But one thing we have to remember here is that the president's reelection math already looks very difficult. He's got a low approval rating. If this is something that convinces even a handful of people to vote against him, it will make his math even that much more difficult. On the flip side, the president and the White House have thought for some time that there is a possibility that if they can make this into something where the president's supporters and maybe other people think that he is being persecuted here, that the articles of impeachment are unfair, that is something that could potentially rouse his base and make them turn out in even stronger numbers. I don't know which way it's going to go right now, but certainly high stakes as far as the 2020 election goes.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Aaron. Aaron Blake is a senior political reporter at the Washington Post, and he joined us live from Washington.